Hey everybody, today I'm going to review Makita's brand new XSL02 36 volt brushless 7.5 inch sliding compound miter saw. Now this is one of the newest tools in Makita's cordless lineup, and even though it may say 36 volts, they did not create a new battery platform that you have to spend your money on. If you're already part of Makita's 18 volt LXT lineup, then you already have the batteries as well as the chargers needed to operate this. To create that 36 volts, what you'll do is take two of the 18 volt LXT batteries, slide them on the back, and then 18 volts and 18 volts creates that 36 volts you need to power this. Now the brushless motor is extremely powerful and extremely efficient, and what we're going to do in this video is really put that to the test. So next, let me give you some closer-up looks at this. We're going to go over all the different features, and then we're going to see how it actually performs. Here's a closer look at the saw, and I do want to point out right off the bat that it comes in at just under 30 pounds, so moving it around is not going to be a problem. However, I would have one suggestion for you, especially if you have a smaller vehicle or you're worried about banging the walls in your customers' houses. Now what you want to keep in mind, the table extensions on here, on the left as well as on the right, are removable, and it will cut the overall width in half. With them installed, it's coming in at almost 35 inches wide. But if you remove the thumb screw on the left, as well as the one on the right, they're going to pop out, and it makes the overall table size just over 16 inches wide. That's much easier to get through a hallway or in and out of doors, and you're going to minimize the risk of accidentally bumping into something. Now you do want to keep in mind as you carry this, it's a good idea to keep it locked in the down position, remove the battery packs, and also lock the rails. The saw has a miter capacity of 47 degrees to the left and then 57 degrees to the right. There are going to be positive stops on the left and right at 45 degrees, 30 degrees, 22.5 degrees, 15 degrees, and then finally 0 degrees for perfect 90-degree cross cuts. Whenever you set it on the exact angle that you want, you'll just take this little knob on the end of the table, twist that clockwise, it's going to lock everything down, and then you're going to be ready to cut. On the left-hand side of the saw, you can see a very large thumb screw as well as a black tab built into the housing, and this is going to be a depth stop. Now the way you use a depth stop, if you override it and you press it in against the saw, you can watch the blade and it will extend all the way down, which would cross-cut material. But if you're working on something and you don't want to do a full plunge cut, and you want to make repeated cuts at the same depth, then what you'll do is adjust that using the thumb screw. You'll take that tab, pull it over, and now as we lower it down, we can see the screw is going to hit that tab. It's preventing the blade from plunging all the way through the material, and you can make repetitive cuts over and over at the same exact depth. Now once you want to override that, it's as simple as taking that black tab, pressing it against the saw, and then it'll be back into plunge cut mode. To adjust the bevel of your cut, underneath the rear rail you will see a large black lever. Grab onto that and rotate it down, and that's going to be the bevel release lock. At this point you can rotate it to the left up to 45 degrees. There is a tab as well as a guide right here in front of that rail that's going to tell you exactly what your current position is. When you match it up to the degree of bevel that you're looking for, just lift that lever back up, it's going to lock it into place, and then you can make your cut. Now it won't just rotate to the left, it will also rotate back to the right up to 5 degrees. But there is one additional step. When you go all the way back to the top, you're going to be on 0 degrees and there is a positive stop. But underneath of that black lever is actually going to be a little push-in pin. So you want to rotate it to the left just slightly, press in on that pin, and then it will rotate to the right up to 5 degrees. You'll still want to lock the lever down to make your cut. And then once you're done, loosen it back up, rotating it back up to the normal position. It's going to be on 0 degrees, and then you can lock it back down for cross-cutting. On either side of the saw, you will see these table extensions, and that does a great job at stabilizing everything. However, if you are carrying this through somebody's house, or maybe loading it in a smaller vehicle, those could pose a problem. To remove them, they have a simple thumb screw on the back. You'll just turn that, they're going to pull right out, and then you can store these separately until you get to wherever you need to go. Now once you get to wherever you're going and you want to use the saw, just slide them right back into place, tighten that thumb screw up, and you're going to be ready to go. Prior to using the saw, there will be 4 different things that you need to do each time. The first is to press down on the saw, reach underneath the battery, and then you're going to feel a large black pivot pin. You'll grab on the end of that, just pull it out, and then you can watch the saw freely pivot up and down. The next thing you want to do is release the tension off both the slide mechanisms. There's a knob right here, as well as one underneath. We'll just go ahead and turn those counterclockwise to loosen them up, and at this point the saw can freely move back and forth. The fourth step is going to be to install the battery packs, and because it is using two 18-volt LXT battery packs, you really want to make sure that these are charged. Slide them into place, and as soon as you do so, the saw is going to be ready to go. So at this point, we can go ahead and take a 2x4, line it up, grab onto the saw, and then just cut right through it. And if you notice how quick the blades stop, that's because Makita has an electric brake built into the motor. Now this is going to almost instantaneously stop the blade, which really makes it a lot more safe for you and anybody else around you, because it's not going to continue to spin when you release the trigger. So literally, as soon as you make a cut, you can release the trigger and the blade is going to stop automatically. The saw is equipped with an onboard battery status indicator gauge, and you can check the charge of either battery simply by pressing this button. There's two different sets of LEDs that are going to go with the corresponding battery directly underneath of it, and in this case you can see they're both fully charged. Now as we use the saw and the batteries drain down, that's going to go from 3 LEDs to 2 LEDs and finally to 1 LED, at which point you need to take them off and recharge them. Now this gauge also has another function, and it will alert you whenever the automatic speed change kicks in. When you're making a tough cut through some tough material, if you see a green LED light up, it means that the saw has activated that speed change. It's applying extra power to the motor to get you through the cut and not stall out on you. When dealing with shorter material or maybe something that's not stable and you don't want to get your hand anywhere near the blade, so you can see if I put my hand on this 2x4 and I press down on it, it could move on me. They also include a little clamp. It's going to slide right in the back, and then all you'll have to do is just screw this knob. It's going to lock the material down, make it nice and tight. It's not going to go anywhere, and best of all, you don't have to put your hand anywhere near the saw as it's running. As far as dust collection goes, I do think that this saw does an excellent job at putting almost all the dust into the bag. And then to remove it, you just need to grab onto it, move it left to right, and it's going to pop right off of the port. Now all you'll need to do at this point is pull this little white tab off the bottom. It will open up, you can shake out all the dust and then put that back. You do not have to make the dust come out the front hole. And let's say you're in a workshop environment, you don't want to use a bag, then you can hook this up to either a dust extractor or a shop vacuum. And what I actually had to do was pick up one of these adapters. This is going to reduce the size of my shop vac hose from 2.5 inches down to 1.25 inches. This is going to slide right in place, and then we can take just our standard hose and plug it into that. Now whenever I use this, I go ahead and turn the shop vac on. It's going to suck up all the dust. I don't have to worry about the bag, and it's going to do a great job at keeping the air much cleaner. The saw is also going to be compatible with miter saw workstations. There are 4 different mounting holes, one in each corner, and then there's a slot in all the miter saw workstation brackets. You can line those up, take the mounting bolts that come with the station, go ahead and slide them down through that hole, and then tighten up the nut and washer underneath. That's going to lock everything together, and then you'll have a complete portable workstation to go along with the saw. One thing that certain people may not like about this saw is the fact that it does not have a laser system to show you where your cut path is, or even an LED lighting system to light up what you're cutting through. So if you are in a low light situation, you won't have that to rely on, and you're going to have to make your cuts like you would with any standard miter saw. As far as cut capacities go, it can do a 45 on a 2x8. And it can cross-cut a 2x12. Now for a runtime test, I have 2 fully charged 5 amp hour battery packs as well as a brand new blade. And what we're going to be doing is seeing how many cuts we can get through a standard 2x4 on just one charge. 532 cuts through a standard 2x4 before the batteries finally died. So now you've seen Makita's brand new XSL02 36 volt 7.5 inch cordless sliding compound miter saw for yourself. And the runtime test with this was absolutely amazing. We got over 500 cuts, and that's specifically because we had two different 5 amp hour battery packs, a brand new blade, and that was coupled with the brand new brushless motor technology that they have built into this. It's extremely efficient, and it literally blasts through the wood without even slowing down. Now, I did learn a couple things during that runtime test. Number one, the dust bag is going to fill up after roughly 50 cuts through a 2x4, at which point you'll start seeing a lot more sawdust appear with each cut. When that happens, you need to go ahead, pull the bag off and empty it. But if you let it go too long and the port is actually clogged up, you do want to remove both the battery packs, remove the bag, and then take a stick or a small piece of wood to clear out that jam. If you just simply empty out the bag, but the jam is still in the port, it's not going to auto clear itself out, and you will still see a lot of dust going everywhere because it can't get through. The other thing I noticed, during the last 5 to 10 cuts with the saw, the actual electric brake was not engaging, meaning when I let off the trigger, it would slow down on its own, it wouldn't automatically stop. And that was really a signal that the batteries were almost going to die on me. So if that happens to you and you pick up one of these saws, when you notice the electric brake is not really working, it probably means that the battery packs are almost completely out of power. Now that being said, all I had to do was hit the trigger, it automatically engaged the brake, and then the blade did stop. But it didn't do so automatically on those last few cuts. Now I do want to point out, this is a 36 volt tool, however they're achieving that because you are using two different 18 volt battery packs. These are the standard packs that are used with pretty much all their tools. And the good thing is you can pop one right off of here, put it on another tool and keep working. You don't have to buy another battery platform or other chargers in order to operate this. And lastly, like all Makita cordless power tools, this is going to be covered with their 3-year warranty. And that's going to include all their batteries and all their chargers. So if you ever do have a problem with it during that time frame and you contact them, they're going to fix or replace it for you free of charge. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.